personal front, and spiritual front. So I will just share with you what we have tried to do at this university, right? To deal and unlock ourselves on these three dimensions. Based on that, if there are any observations, any questions, any queries from anyone, from any walk of life, not necessarily in academics, could be in industry, could be in other area of academics, which we are not into, maybe collectively we'll find a way out so that at the end of it, we stay value added in terms of this interaction. When you talk about unlocking yourself professionally, you know, in an academic institution, how did we unlock ourselves professionally? The first thing that we had to do was ask our students, without whom the existence of an academic complex is zero. It is meaningless, because academic institutions exist for students. And the first step and the first decision that we had to take was ask our students to go and leave for their respective places of stay, residences, because we are a university where there are 50–60% of people who stay on campus as residents, and ask the other students, please don't report to the university from tomorrow. That was a big decision for a university, and we have to take it, because we thought health is uppermost. Now, our commitment on the one side was to ensure the safety and well-being of our students, safety and well-being of our faculty, safety and well-being of everyone on campus. On the second, our commitment to our students has been, and to their parents and guardians has been, that whatever it may be, there won't be any negative influence or impact on the teaching and learning process of the students. It's a tall order. In the situation, we had to take this decision. What would it mean when I say professionally? Our teachers were used for years. This is a young university comparatively, about 10–11 years old university, not into anything and everything, but whatever it is into it is into it with purpose. It is into it with sincerity and seriousness of purpose. So, having told our students and faculty to go to their respective places, and having also made a commitment that teaching and learning process of our students or faculty will not get impacted. This being the situation, our students not used to any other way of teaching and learning. Our faculty at this university, maybe at other universities where they were previously operating in, they were used to. But in this situation, we were not used to. So all in a sudden, we had to change gears. It was not easy. It could have been easy for first tier of higher education institutions in India. And what are those names? Maybe that was not that difficult for IITs in the first place. Though they have also experienced difficulties of sorts. They are also struggling like many others. So, or IIMs on the other hand, or Indian Institute of Science, or top level institutions of academic excellence. But for us, it was a game changer, because our students were not used to it, and our faculty were not used to it at our university. Well, we thought it was a challenge, and we did our best to convert it into a meaningful opportunity. A little bit of orientation to begin with on students, to develop their skill sets and competencies to accept online teaching learning process was helpful. Similarly, a bit of orientation for 2–3 days on the faculty, the key drivers of this online teaching engagement, to help build their professionally, equip them with the skill sets and competencies that are needed, which are of sorts, which are not related per se to content. They are, but not per se to content. But how are they behaving when they go online as a teacher? What are the skill sets and competencies that they need to develop to take on this challenge and convert into an opportunity and make the most of it. So we did equip them with the appropriate skill sets and competencies. Maybe it took 3-4 days intensive training. Similarly, similar intensive training on the students and orientation on the students, because when we told them to leave, we never thought COVID-19 is going to unfold in lockdown after lockdowns. We thought, okay, this has come, this will go. So to begin with, we parted our students, all right, you stay engaged with your teachers, but not for courses per se. Maybe there is some doubt clearance, maybe some assignments have to be done, maybe some quizzes have to be taken, or things of that kind, not courses. But when we understood the story is not that simple, it's going to last for quite some time, then we have to plunge into it and prepare ourselves, means basically in terms of teachers and the students to receive this. What it took was just making sure that the faculty were aware of what are the various information technology offerings in terms of hardware, in terms of software, how could they master the craft of using those tools to deliver content online. To not only deliver, but also see how the continuous learning is being monitored, how the assessments are happening, how evaluations are happening on this other side with students. So believe you me, it could not have been possible to switch on to this in a matter of a week, the way it has been received at our university so phenomenally and so successfully, if 100% involvement, engagement with excitement was not exhibited by the faculty and the students alike. I take pride in saying that, because I conducted a webinar for vice chancellors to share with them this experience after 3 months of our online engagement. Believe you me, some of the vice chancellors said, sir, how can you do it? Because our faculty are a little reluctant. Our students are experiencing problems of sorts. If these two stakeholders have expressed difficulties and challenges of this kind are not prepared to accept it, then there's no looking back. But for us, amazingly, the results were phenomenal, because we knew even after orientation of the students and faculty, we need to ensure that session on session basis, we see how the progression is happening on the part of the faculty and on the part of the student. Is student receiving the inputs the way it ought to be received? Is faculty delivering the content the way it ought to be? Is the engagement sincere? Is everybody involved? So on and so forth. Time will not permit me to share with you the nitty-gritties of that, but we kept on monitoring each and every session. It was not the faculty, students, the department head was there. And every 2 days, 3 days, the director of that particular institute was looking at it. Surprisingly entering into the class, seeing how is the teacher relation, how are teachers engaging with the students on each and everything. Is the session outcome happening on expected lines? So on and so forth. So we gave it the treatment and we found phenomenal success. We conducted open houses, not only with the students, but with the parents and guardians. And the response of those open house sessions, feedback sessions, was phenomenal. And they gave us pointers, sir. There are connectivity issues. There are, these 4G, 5G kind of issues. So much of continuity in online engagement is creating problems. So there were issues raised, and we understood the situation based on those continuous feedback sessions, and we again modified and remolded. As against 4 hours of per day online engagement, we took a decision we'll not have more than maybe 2.5 hours online engagement per day with the students. Allow them to dabble into many other things which they can do, but not to make sure that they are for 3 hours, 4 hours, because our schedule was such. In the normal engagement, the students were there in class for 4 to 5 hours with intervals, right? But it was not so. So we gave them breaks in between, and we reduced the on-screen engagement from 4 to 3 hours, 3 to 2.5 hours, and that's the way forward. Similarly, several other fine tunings and adjustments were done. What I'm saying is, how you have to unlock yourself professionally is you have to understand the situation you have to operate in, and understanding the situation you have to operate in, equip yourself with what needs to be done given the context you are operating is the way forward. So we understood these kinds of things, and similarly there were challenges of sorts shared by the faculty. What does he do? Because he has at the same time to be glued to the screen, he has to be glued to the computer, he has to remember each and everything. It is difficult for him if he makes a mistake or something. So there were, but day in and day out, we kept on experiencing this, sharing these experiences. And trust you me, in these 3 months full period, we did complete very successfully 50 to 60% of the course, of which 30 to 40% had been completed before we went on lockdowns. So with the result, 2-3 things came. We saw the attendance improving remarkably as compared to the normal situation. We saw the learning outcomes happening the best way. We saw the feedbacks positive from all quarters. We saw the parents and guardians coming forward when the students were raising issues about connectivity and so on and so forth. So all I am trying to say is, if you create an ecosystem which is conducive to addressing the issues and concerns of all the stakeholders, there is no looking back. And this has been a phenomenal experience. Many others have followed us, let me tell you very honestly. Even the government guidelines on conduct of online classes, on conduct of assessments, on conduct of this activity or that activity like labs and many other things, whichever guidelines came, we were one step always ahead in terms of even on those issues. So my submission is, you have no choice but to unlock yourself professionally the best way you can. It is the system which has to provide the ecosystem which is conducive to taking these kinds of things head on. Not only on this front, can you believe our faculty output in terms of their research contributions, publications, during these 3 months period is comparable to no stage at any point in time in the history of this university. We have seen 15 research papers, top quality journals getting accepted during this lockdown of my faculty, which used to be on an average 3 to 4 per quarter. Similarly, research proposals, which is what an academic has to do, that is his professional development. 15 to 16 research proposals prepared by the faculty, to take a for sponsorship and stuff like that, which used to be on an average 1 to 2 during the quarter. So engagement professionally has increased manifold. All I am saying is the sum and substance of sharing with you how can you unlock yourself professionally is accept the challenge, convert it into an opportunity, and update and upgrade yourself. Update and upgrade yourself is the key in any setting and any situation, not only in academics, but in any and every setup you are. Use this opportunity, use these kinds of frames, COVIDs or no COVIDs, to upgrade and update yourself professionally. People have done courses in areas which they would not have been otherwise able to do. Not only the faculty, not only the students, but the staff, the officers, the entire people who are running the university found opportunities. This is the time when we are not spending time on travel, when we are not spending that much time on meetings, when we are not spending that much time on many other things. Why don't we use that time the most productive way to update and upgrade ourselves? Several courses have been completed by my faculty, by my staff, by my officers, by my students, over and above what they were supposed to do, even while operating in work from home situation. Second thing, that each and every one of us has made sure that was a direction, that was a guideline, that was some kind of discussion with all. Hey, look at the skill sets and competencies that are needed, not today, but tomorrow. Look at what are those kinds of things that would be needed. And please do everything possible to prepare yourself for challenges ahead of time. So each and every one of my colleagues in the system, and that is what my submission to all the members, esteemed members on this meeting would be. See what you can do to, enhance your skill sets and competencies on, let us say, new age technologies. People talk about artificial intelligence. People talk about Internet of Things. People talk about very many other areas which are upcoming. I'm not saying we need to be expert, but we need to understand these new age areas, new age trendy technologies, so that we can understand them and we can talk to people in those areas in the same wavelength, so that we know what is the field, what is the application, what is the relevance, so that nobody can say that you are not aware of future workplace, you are not aware of trends and opportunities in the future 21st century workplace scenario. So keep yourself upgraded and updated on that. Another set of things that we did across the university, not only students, but faculty, but all across. Hey, look, year after year, surveys after surveys come, and they highlight that these are the kinds of skill sets and competencies which are needed. They do not change dramatically. It is just the sequence changes. The skill sets and competencies are, one should be equipped with communication. Lataji knows it well. She teaches me on this day in and day out. Communication, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, team building, conflict resolution. Because these are the areas where you look at the skill sets and competencies. You may be good in the domain, but are you good at these skills? So we made sure we established a Center for Communication and Critical Thinking, which has evolved 6 sets of courses which are mandatory for each and every one studying at this university, to make sure that they are equipped with the skill sets and competencies that are needed in the upcoming workplace scenario. We made sure how our students and faculty, all alike, are exposed to issues which are related to sustainability, which are related to, the areas related to those which are not core: environment, sustainability, ethics, values, attitude. So there is another stream of thought which we are making sure, because we saw if everything goes well, it is one attitude which does not help you to get through. What are we doing to address and understand and address that issue is another thought process that we have tried to do, so that we upgrade and update our people professionally. Second component, unless you have questions, which we'll take up later, is on the personal front. Well, I think given the way that we have tried to understand ourselves, we said to ourselves, including me, this is the time, look at it, it is some kind of a blessing to you to discover and rediscover yourself. Though I teach a course on understanding self and others, I said here is a time and opportunity for you to understand yourself as to who you are, what you have, and what would you like to be. In the truest sense of the term, time is on your side, opportunity is on your side to develop, explore, experiment the best way you can, so that you know yourself. Most of us, having traveled 30, 40, 50 years, really don't know ourselves, because we never got an opportunity to deep dive into ourselves. We looked at ourselves superficially. This is the time for us to look at ourselves a little deeply. And this gave an opportunity. This gave an opportunity, a lifetime opportunity. For me, I will just tell you, I would not have dreamt of my family being together. We were 4 of us, with my parents, 6 of us. So we were 4 plus 2, 6, and we used to be, if not 6, at 5 different places all along. But trust you me, these 3.5 months, we are together. First time ever. First time ever. So I thought it's a good way to connect and relive those moments which you have not got an opportunity to relive when there was no COVID. Because my daughter in Pune, my son in Gurgaon, my wife in Lucknow, my parents most of the time with me in Jaipur, and most of the time with my other brother in Jammu. So all of these were scattered. Now we are for these months together. We understand each other so well because we have devised a timetable in such a fashion which would not have been even thought of. For instance, we have made a calendar that we'll get up at so and so time. Okay, that's for sure, which would never happen. With my child who is used to getting up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock because he sleeps at 12 in the midnight because his office work with the US counterpart takes him up to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And that was, no, we decided we'll get up at so and so time and then do a little bit of walk, right? Do a little bit of walk, do a little bit of exercise, which was not at all happening. And then maybe we have a small, created a small little temple in our house. I think Lata has come and seen that. So we spent half an hour there. And then, maybe have our breakfast or tea, morning tea together, have our lunch together, have our evening tea together, have our dinner together, giving us an opportunity of bonding so closely and so richly. So this is one area where I thought you can unlock yourself personally. You can do a little bit on helping yourself to the extent possible. I would not have got an opportunity to read so much as I have read, not related to what I am doing. It is beyond that. I had a knowledge because being a professional, I would guide each and every scholar of mine that you should read this, you should read this, you should read, but never found time for myself to read and absorb the insights. So I read quite a few interesting books which are shaping my life for days ahead of me, howsoever limited they may be, to prepare myself as a thought through person. So here's an opportunity which one can utilize to unlock oneself to improve personally. Being together with the family, spending quality time on yourself, understanding yourself the way I discussed, because teaching a course on understanding yourself has taught me so much. And I was not able to understand and implement some of the components or some of the elements of that course on myself. Like it says discipline. I used to teach, but I got an opportunity to practice on that. I used to talk a lot about honesty. I used to talk a lot about integrity. I used to talk a lot about helping others. I used to talk a lot about other areas which are of interest and relevance. But this gave me an opportunity to closely introspect myself on if this is what is honesty, if this is what is timekeeping, if this is what is discipline, if this is what is integration, if this is what am I doing day on and day in on those kinds of areas so that I can say, okay, I have tried to understand that and I have tried to make those ingredients, those essential elements a part and parcel of my life way forward. Trust you me, you didn't have that much time because I would be personally, Lata knows it, I would be most of the time on the travels, which would take a lot of time. But that time I could utilize on these very productive ways. I never indulged into knowing what is there in the kitchen, what is there in my kitchen garden. So you will see today there are beautiful, those plants. It was so amazing to see for the first time anar, pomegranates on my tree in the garden. It was so good and soothing to see flowers. So all of that, how do you unfold yourself personally? Stay connected with yourself. Stay connected with your family. Stay bonded with your family. Stay connected with your friends and relations. So on and so forth. That happened a good deal. And equipping yourself as much as you can. I had never got an opportunity to read some of the scriptures. I believe in Almighty, though I don't go to temples every other day, but I believe in. So I got an opportunity to understand deeply and closely Ramayana, Mahabharata, and trust you me, that has given me amazing facets to work on and improve upon myself personally. When it comes to the third component, spiritually, well, please don't misunderstand me if I say spiritually means only going to a temple, going to a mosque, going to a gurudwara. I don't have that definition or understanding of spirituality. What to me is spirituality is very simple. Whatever gives you maximum joy and satisfaction and pleasure, do it. Do that, and that is spirituality. It could be running for 2 hours. It could be doing anything that gives you the joy and satisfaction. I have believed that way. And trust you me, I think if you hit the bed and fall sound sleep in 5 minutes, or if you get up in the morning in 2 minutes and are refreshed for the day, I think you have done complete charging of yourself. You have done complete re-energizing of yourself. So what it takes to reach that state of going to the bed and falling asleep in 5 minutes, getting up in the morning and feeling relaxed and energized is what to me is spirituality. So whatever leads you to that, you decide for yourself and do that with passion, do that with commitment, do that with 100% involvement. That is the way I have looked at it. I found during the course of this discussion, let me share with you, I probably might have shared with Lata, what amazing experience I did at my university. Because I have been teaching them a course which is titled as SEE Learning, C, S-E-E. I will spell it out for you. S for SEE Learning, it is emotional, ethical, and social. Social, emotional, and ethical learning. This course is taught for the first time in the world by a university in US, which is called as Emory University. When somebody asked me to look at that course and see if I could teach that course, and telling me the university which has taught this course to students first time were triggered by the thought process of Islam. The moment they said it is based at the trigger given by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I thought to myself, because I have had good fortune of interacting with His Holiness on a couple of times, and I had heard from him, what does he mean by compassion? What does he mean by ethics? What does he mean by mindfulness? I said, okay, let me give it a try. So I ran a course which is Hatke. It is not marketing, it is not finance, it is not mechanical engineering, it is not product design, it is something Hatke, different kind of a course. So when I taught this course, first it awoke me up, it enlightened me up, because I had to read a lot, not only His Holiness, but I had to read a lot spiritual leaders, spiritual gurus, ethical gurus, mindful, speakers and preachers of that, Vivekananda, Ramkrishna Paramahansa. I had to read a lot of stuff. I had to read His Holiness also. So when after reading that course, I taught this course. And this course has components which I talked to you: mindfulness, okay, compassion, ethics, helping others, so on and so forth. So what happened during this COVID time? Some of the students who had been part of this course, please give me 2 minutes to wind up. Some of the students who had been a part of this course came to me, a group of some students, sir, COVID is there, COVID is everywhere. Everybody is being taken care of by the system, by the administration, by the government, by the people, by the organization. But we see these elderly who are 60 plus, nobody bothers about them that way. Nobody is concerned about them that way. So we have thought of doing something through which we can reach out to these people which are otherwise neglected. I said, what triggered your thought process on that? He said, sir, we have done our deep due diligence on it. We have done some research. We have come across an organization, right, which is Samarth organization, and they have an integral component of theirs which is called as elder care. They have been doing it in the country. They have been doing it all over the globe, but not in COVID and post-COVID times. They have been doing it otherwise. So taking a clue from them, we think elderly or the city of Jaipur need some such kind of service. I said, yeah, elderly need services of sorts. What are you going to do? What would you like to look at? No, sir, we know. We have done what local administration is doing. We have understood what NGOs are doing. But we have identified 3 areas where we could like to act as an interface between these elderly and the service providers. I said, what are those areas? They said, one, where we could offer them some medical assistance, health related, medical assistance, right? The second, if there are some requirements in terms of their food, we could act as an interface. Third, sir, looking at these people 60, 65 above, somewhere down the line we have seen they need someone to talk to. They have lots and lots in their hearts, but they are not able to talk to because they have nobody to be there to talk to. People are there and their children are elsewhere. Lockdown has made them, stay apart, or there are some other reasons. So this is the kind of thing we want to work at. I like the idea. I like their approach. I like their understanding. I like their, model through which they had tried to attempt it. But I said, we have to talk to people. So I just had a meeting with the local collector to begin with, right? So to begin with, he was not that warm to the idea because he had his own problems of sorts. He said, sir, let me do it whatever way I can. This is to be 100% sure. I cannot let my people, right now the students may have that interest, tomorrow it dies down. I can't cut a sorry figure before the system, before the people, before the public. So I would like to give them which I can sustain. Then I wrote a note. I wrote a self-explanatory note. I said, please take a look at it. Trust you me, the moment he had a look at that note, he called. He said, let us get going with it. Because what you are trying to say is, you are trying to supplement and complement what the administration is doing. And this will be a great facilitator, and this will be a great need of the people, this sector of society. So trust you me, after we started this operation through this voluntary group of students who had undergone that course on C-learning, compassion, helping others, mindfulness, ethics, so on and so forth, in 1 month, the report was 1,300 elderly who would have been deprived of basic facilities of food, basic facilities of medicine, basic facilities of talking to somebody and lighten themselves would not have been able to be reached out and would not have been able to be provided the service. Getting guided by this experience and example, I am sharing the case of teaching a course on C-learning and this experiment. What happened during this lockdown, these students were done this course were not in jobs because the joinings were delayed or internships were delayed. I thought now the joinings have started opening up, internships have been opening up, these boys and girls will go, and who will take care of this task that we have set for ourselves? So I talked to my faculty colleagues who were mentoring this initiative. They said, sir, we have to look for some more alternatives, but let us respectfully, gracefully see them off. They have done their work. We must acknowledge. Let us tell them enough is enough. When we reached out to these students, which is what I am trying to share with you, when we talk to these students, thank you so much. You have been so wonderful on this agenda, on this initiative. But now, since you have to go to your jobs, you have to go to your internships, we will look for other set of volunteers. Can you believe what response they gave? And I will not forget it for the rest of my life. They said, sir, whatever joy and satisfaction and delight we have got by virtue of this engagement of ours, I don't think we will get it in any other way. We will continue with our internships, but we don't want to miss out on this opportunity. This is what I am trying to tell you. This is what needs to be done in terms of developing yourself spiritually. Not just going to temple, not just going to Gurdwara, but other way which gives you pleasure, which gives you delight, which gives you satisfaction. And trust you me, the student group is glued to the agenda. It started with Jaipur. It has gone to very many other states of Rajasthan, and we are thinking of going ahead with the minister to get it formally inaugurated for the state of Rajasthan. We have reached out to UP, we have reached out to Haridwar, so it's opening up. Who knows, God willing, it may be a service from this university to the society in this section all over the country going forward. So all I want to conclude my remarks, this has provided us an opportunity, right? An opportunity of sorts to upgrade, I repeat, and to upgrade and update ourselves professionally, personally, and spiritually. At the end of the day, if we look for ourselves getting that bliss, getting that satisfaction, that is what we are ultimately doing, what we are doing. I think this is what I had to say to conclude. I will just use one prayer which I have made a part of my life. It was not there before COVID. Though this prayer was in existence, let me tell you, but I was not aware of it. But I made it a part of my life, and that is what I feel is keeping me active, alive, vibrant to the situation I'm a part of. Trust you, me, Lata and me were there before we entered this meeting. We were there in a homage meeting, in a condolence meeting, because we lost a very young professional, young budding colleague who is very hard to fill, whose gap is very hard to fill. So it is just that understanding these harsh realities is what I have accepted is going to be the norm day on and day on. So let us live with those situations. And the prayer is, I repeat, Lata, you may like this prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Because there are certain things I cannot change. COVID has come. As an individual right now, I cannot change. Right? Please grant me courage to change the things I can. To respond to this COVID-like scenario, please grant me courage to change the things that I can. And God grant me the wisdom to know the difference between what I can change and what I cannot change. I think this summarizes our understanding, our essence of how we have to evolve, how we have to, understand and unlock ourselves professionally, personally, and spiritually. By keeping this essence in mind, that my Prabhu to accept the things that I cannot change and give me the courage to things that I can change and the wisdom to understand what I can and what I cannot. If we have that philosophy and approach as our way forward to life, everything will be joyous, blissful, fruitful for all of us, including you and me. Thank you so very much.
My first request will be, sir, have some.
Yes.
You have been like, this was a supercharged, passionate session. Please take some water.
No, that's all right. I'm a young man of 65 only. So.
I would like to invite the audience now for their interaction. I think we'll start with the ladies first.
You are more than welcome. I'm not assuring you of the best possible solution. We will evolve collectively a best possible solution. I've shared with you what I have lived thus far in COVID and pre-COVID, and I intend to live post-COVID to the extent possible. So please feel free. I'm open to any kind of observations.
Yes, audience time now. We'll start with the
ladies. May I, sir?
Sure, ma'am.
Yes,
sir, thank you so much, sir. This is Lata here. Yes. And sir, you are my guide, my mentor, and I have learned a lot of things from you. So thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful session, and I thoroughly learned many things from you today. And of course, you are a very young gentleman.
Lata, colleagues, friends, well-wishers like you keep me energizing, keep me inspiring, keep me motivating, right? That is what I enjoy the most as my strength, and I would like to, continue that way. Yes, sir.
Sir, I am DP Srivastava, sir, from Mumbai. Sir, really, sir, it's wonderful session, sir, and it is really, sir, very heart-touching and really hearty salute to you and your efforts, sir. You are doing really, sir, we are very much motivated, spiritually as well as emotionally also. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. God bless you, sir. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. This is P.K. Das, Pradeep Kumar Das.
Yes, sir.
And really wonderful session. Really, from my heart of heart, I can say it's a very interesting topic you have chosen, because I feel that it is not only in the context of COVID-19.
Yes,
it is everywhere. It is one thing, important thing, that we have got a lot of potentiality in ourselves,
yes,
either in personal life or front, or in personal professional front, or the spiritual front. But that is not unlocked. So there is a lot of opportunity now in the context of COVID-19, of course. But even if COVID-19 is not there, these potentialities are there which can be unlocked still, I believe. So
yes,
my point is that COVID-19 has given just an opportunity now
yeah,
to realize that we have such wonderful potentialities.
very good, very good.
Even I could not believe, I didn't know that we have got so much of potentialities with us, which we can unleash also.
Exactly.
So lot of thanks, and you have opened up our eyes now to that extent. Lot of thanks again.